All right. Who said Maresca? Was it you? Let's find out. All right, Chelsea fans, jumping into this one, a lot has happened. Obviously, the most recent thing for Chelsea getting dumped out of the FA Cup by Brighton, an injury-riddled Brighton, a younger manager than even we could pull off Brighton, a very lackluster, bad result against Brighton. And so I got some things to talk about. And obviously, as I alluded to in the beginning, is all about what's going on with Enzo Maresca and the fans or supporters, you choose. So first up, we got to talk about Mr. Maresca. On one side, there's a camp that's ready to crown him, right? They've seen enough at the beginning of the season. They are all in because he's developing young squad with potential, and a single match or four doesn't define his tenure, which is also it's about 6 months old. Instead, they're pointing to his calm demeanor, his focus on long-term growth, and I suppose you could say alignment with the co-sporting directors, the vision of the club as it stands. But then there's the other side right now who are criticizing, I guess, Maresca because of the results, which is fair, right? At the end of the day, why play matches of football if you're not going out trying to win? Nobody is a fan or supporter is interested about what their team does in 3 years until it's 3 years from now, because we are here in the present ready to win and get our beloved Chelsea back to the top of the European echelon like we once were. Feels like a long time ago. Anyways, so results, right after the Brighton match, where was plan B? Where was the fire? They're shouting for a manager who can guarantee wins as best you can. Now, not in the distant future. We want to win now. However you do it with this squad, great, but we've got to win now. This long-term vision isn't an excuse. So is Maresca really the future of Chelsea? Or is it time for a managerial shakeup? I doubt it's going to happen in the middle of this season. I think the co-sporting directors, the owners are very sensitive for that post-Graham Potter. Even let Poch run it out, which, hey, Poch turned around at the end, right? Didn't he? Got that tune out of the team very end. Is this something that Maresca is going to do? All I know is that this run of form needs to turn around because the slide has got to stop. All right, next topic we've got to be the players. Obviously, you got the manager and the coaching staff on one side. Well, guess what? The other side, it's all about the players. We got to talk about Christopher Nkunku, maybe a little bit of Jadon Sancho as well. There are those who are quick to defend them, saying they're adapting, they need time, and that flashes of brilliance are there. There's no doubt, right? They believe the potential of these players can bring to the table, but the commitment and the attitude, especially from one Christopher Nkunku, who seems to be more interested in leaving than staying, has to be addressed. It was not addressed in this January transfer window. Statements from both sides playing out in public, yet here we are post-transfer window, and it seems like neither side is committed to each other as much as they said they were. Now, with Jadon Sancho being a little bit different of a story, injuries mucking up his ability to kind of hit the ground running. We have seen those flashes, and now we're cooled down again. And this is the time where we absolutely need support for Cole Palmer, especially with Nico Jackson, not at the level he used to be. Now more than ever, the glaring absences of brilliant performances is in the focus more than ever. The problem we have is if Cole Palmer can't score a hat trick, what is this team going to do? And seems to be the answer right now, hope for a couple of own goals, which is not going to cut it. If we look at the other side, though, right, the critics are out in force. Nkunku's impact, wondering if Sancho was the right fit for Chelsea at all. And what about our goalkeeper situation? Now, this is the one I've been waiting to talk about. I know, surprise, was on the podcast for the Brighton match review. Me and Dan chopping it up at good old times, and he had to ask me about the goalkeeping situation. Here's the deal. Nobody made a decision in the summer. We are playing a shell game with Sanchez being unconvincing, Jordi Petrovic getting moved out on loan, and bringing in Philip Jorgensen. We did not strengthen our team in the goalkeeping department. There is no doubt about it. And now, even worse, and Maresca is not even willing to make a decision on the goalkeepers. If Jorgensen is going to be your number one, he should play every single match the rest of the season because you can. They're goalkeepers. You got to commit and make a decision. The fact that he benched Sanchez, played Jorgensen in the Premier League, and then turned on and put Sanchez back in the FA Cup is dereliction of responsibility. Pick your goalkeeper and play him every single minute. We don't need rest. Goalkeepers, it is far easier than that to make it happen. I don't know what this situation is. If anything, the best hope for all of you out there looking at the goalkeeping position for Chelsea, Mike Penders. That's right. Signed him, sent him back on loan to Genk. He is the answer. The problem is when? He's still young. He is still up and coming. He's 19, playing in the Belgian Super League. We've got time, but from a potential, there's no one better. But again, back to my earlier point, we're trying to win today. So we got to figure out what is going to happen with this crew. The problems are rife from top to bottom. There's only about 3 players you can really hang your hat on, being Cucurella, Moises Caicedo, and Cole Palmer. Where is the rest of the supporting cast for this team? My problem is that we rotated and we still can beat a weakened Brighton team. You've got to question the commitment of the players. Bringing Trevoh back, I think, does strengthen the defense. Disasi going alone, fine. Kick that problem down the road. I get it. You're still committed to West Fofana. What about the rest of the grift we have in the squad? Figuring out Joao Felix coming in, signing whatever 6-7 year contract, and immediately going on a loan halfway through his first season back. These things do not make sense. We did not end the transfer window stronger than we were, and this is the result, the direct result of not being decisive in the transfer window and letting these young, high-potential players without a lot of strong leadership, because Reece James can't be fit. You've got Tosin, who's 27, Sanchez, who's a little bit older. There are not the players that are going to take this team and grab them by the scruff of the neck and drag them across the finish line, and that is what this young, high potential, up and coming team needs if you are going to win now. And here's the bigger problem. If you don't support them in that and you don't teach them how to win, they're never going to get over the hump and they're always going to be mediocre and it's going to fizzle out. Fix the problem now. Problem is, window's over. So this is where it comes back to the manager. You see the loop here, the pattern, manager and players. They keep passing blame back to each other and we can't figure it out. At some point, someone's got to step up and take care of business. Lastly, I just want to kind of talk about the fact that, as I alluded to, the squad depth here. We entered this transfer window with very clear needs within the squad, and we left with very clear needs that were not addressed. We hear from half the fans talking about faith in the board strategy, believing that the January window is about smart, sustainable growth, not just throwing money at problems. They're optimistic about the future with the likes of Mudryk, despite his form, and if he comes back. Throw that into the spanner. Who had that? A positive drug test on their bingo card. Now, is it his fault or not? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is that we're dealing with all of these liabilities and issues in the squad, including something like this from Mudryk, just goes to show that the squad needed, I would say, bolstering, right? We didn't even stabilize it, unfortunately. And so now we have too many loose ends up in the air and no true solutions to the terrible results. On the other side, you've got the fans who are fuming over the lack of a top striker. I think we all really like what Nico Jackson can be. Then he gets injured, and now he's not quite fit, and he's not being involved, and we realize that goal-scoring threat is a huge problem for this team. I think we knew that going in. Fair play to Nico Jackson. Started the season brilliantly, but now where is the backup? Where are the other goals coming from if it's not Nico and it's not Cole? The problem is they're not. Absolutely dried up. Now, we have a set piece coach. We've got some really tall players. At what point do we start to convert from a set piece? If it's not a direct free kick that goes right in the back of the net, I'm waiting for some towering headers, some imperious physicality in the box to go flick at the near post and smash in at home. This is a problem for this team. Yet we have someone dedicated to it from Brentford. And I don't know about you, but it kind of feels like we're going the wrong way with set pieces. So again, squad composition, tactics of the team, the transfer window is an opportunity to continue to do good business, and we swing and a miss. I also think Chelsea are missing aggression. In this team, there's not shithousery. There's not the dark arts of this team, but just the pure aggression to go into a tackle, to chase someone down in their own third, make a mistake and capitalize on it. This is something this team is toothless. They don't have that edge. They don't have that commitment to press. And again, you had an opportunity to do something about it, and they did not solve it. And I think this is going to be a problem towards the end of the season when it gets tight. Are we even in the top 4 race? Which the fact that I have to say that after being second is terrible. It should be unacceptable. We've got to figure it out. And I have a ton of concerns heading into the back half of the season. So there you have it, Chelsea fans. A lot off my chest. I had to get on, say it all. Let me know how you feel in the comments. We got to talk about Enzo's tactics. Are you here long run, or are you upset about the lack of short-term results? When it comes to the players, who do you think we can rely on? I gave you 3 players. You tell me who else I'm missing. And then lastly, it just goes back to the club strategy. Where are we at? Where are we going? What problems are we solving in the short term while still keeping our long-term objectives in play? I just don't see it. I just don't know. I need you to help me out in the comments, on socials. Let us know. We got to solve this problem, fans. Crowdsource the resources. Anyways, big pods coming this week where Dan, Nick, and Sam, CFC Central, break down all and the business has been done the last 2 transfer windows. Judge it, rate it if it's good or not. Make sure you're subscribed to YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. It is going to be well worth your listening time. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.